So just so everyone's aware, we are recording. And I guess what we can do is, people have questions they want to type in, that's fine. Otherwise, people can maybe just unmute to ask a specific question. We'll start with that. Hopefully it won't be everyone at the same time. And we'll try to answer everyone's question as they come in. And I'm sure there's a lot of duplicate questions. So listen carefully. I'm sure the answers will come up.
Sounds good.
So anyone who's got a first question, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Can they
Keep
unmute?
admitting people.
Can they unmute themselves?
I think so. Yes, people can unmute themselves, but you're muted when you enter to keep the noise down a little bit. Let's see what's in the chat. Oh, we got people from Montreal here. Wonderful. Wonderful. We're hoping there's some new people. I guess while we're waiting, this is the entry form, which can be downloaded online, has a lot of the information. It's important, some of the size information. So go ahead. Someone has a question.
Hello, my name is Susan. And I was wondering if, because it's 2 by 2, can you crop your print and then mount it? I know you're not supposed to mount anything, but I was thinking of taking a very detailed piece of, something new that I would do, and thinking of having it a small, but then making sure it was 2 by 2 and cropping it.
You can do that.
Yeah, that happens. That actually happens quite a lot. And you can feel free to mount it on a larger piece of paper. One of the things that I brought over here for show and tell is this is the matte windows, but which we exhibit the work in. So there's 5 slots. They're each 4 inches by 4 inches, meaning the print sits inside of there with a nice margin. And you can see from previous years, lots of corners we use to put them in there. We do like it if they're mounted on larger paper, but you could send us a bleed print, a little piece of paper that's 2 by 2 or smaller. That would be eligible as well. It doesn't have to be on a larger piece of paper. So yes, anything that's the right size will fit. So any other questions? Like I said, please feel free to open up. Yes, someone was asking, we have other matte windows cut for the horizontals and for the vertical formats. The 1 by 4 vertical and 1 by 4 horizontal, we have mattes that are longer, skinnier windows. We've even had to do some giant ones because while the size requirement is 4 square inches, we did have someone give us a print that was a 1/2 inch wide by I think 6 inches long. That is also fair game. The only thing that there is there's that paper size maximum of 8 by 10. So technically you could submit something like 9 inches long, but it would only be a fraction of an inch wide. So all of those formats are eligible, and it's really up to us. We'll make sure that they get on the wall in the exhibition. We've definitely cut mats in different sizes to accommodate all the various prints that have been submitted over the years.
Yeah. Challenging, but
yes,
we get it done.
Challenging, but we do it. Yes. Let's see a few more people to enter. So like I said, go ahead and unmute yourself and holler out any questions and we will answer them.
Just want to say hi, Chris.
Hi, Bing.
Hi, Bing.
Hi.
All the way from California.
All the way from California. This is great. Nice idea.
Yeah. Yeah, I see there's people from New Jersey and Maine and Pennsylvania and California.
Ooh.
Wonderful. Even
Yeah,
Montreal, yes.
Lillian, Canada.
Oh,
So
yeah.
the paper size again is 8 by 10?
8 by 10 is the
8 by
maximum.
10
Yeah.
is the max. You can
Okay.
actually go smaller. And in also in regards to the 4 square inches, you can actually go smaller
Yes.
Oh, okay.
in
Okay.
image size. The max is 4, but you can go smaller. You didn't bring any of your plates, huh?
No, and if for any reason the paper is a little bit larger that can be accommodated in our mats, we would reach out to you and confirm that we can trim the paper to make it fit. As I said, there are sometimes special cases with unique shaped plates, and then we find a way to get that on the wall. But
Mhm.
as long as the math works out for the total area, we will accept it for sure, and the juror will see it.
Okay.
I have a question for the return of the prints. So say I send, sorry for the background toddler chatter. They're eating their lunch. So whatever you hear,
That's okay.
5 or 2-year-old. But say I have my packet of my students' prints that we have packed up to send it up as a group. On the return of the prints, say it says by the end of 23, I don't know, is that December?
Yes.
So as it'll be packed up again the same way, sort of as we sent it, with like newsprint bound up. And then as long as I've collected my students' contact information, they'll be able to just pick up their work based on that. And if I give the school's address, the college's address for you to send back to, that's all fine.
Yep.
Do it
Absolutely.
that way. All right, then good.
Yep. And just following up with that, what usually will happen is you send the work, the juror will see the works. Any works that are submitted into the exhibition, we may ask for additional copies of
Mhm.
to make more sales. Hopefully you would send a bunch of prints, send additional copies. We'll sell everything and nothing will have to be returned. But obviously, yes. And following up with that, we also do sometimes secure additional locations to have the show travel. And we would inform anyone in the exhibition if that's the case. It might delay the return to January or February if there's another opportunity. Oftentimes around the holidays is a really great opportunity to sell the mini prints. So if there is an opportunity, we would inform those in the show, confirm it. Sometimes people do not want the prints to travel, and we can return it at the end of the summer if that's a requirement. But we love to keep them for a little bit of time. Sometimes people see the online catalog and they reach out after the show's ended. So we do everything we can to make them available for sales.
Especially for the holidays. People come in during the holidays looking for the miniatures.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, I went to the Pennsylvania Academy of Fine Art, and our winter print sale was always the time we racked up money when I was a student, my student years. It is definitely a holiday time.
Yeah,
Print
and
sale.
I'll jump on that last comment. In terms of sales and lots of sales, we do find pricing the mini prints. There is a real a sweet spot for making sales. Generally, once you get over $100, that's when sales tend to decline. But anytime prints can be priced between $20, $40, $50, those are the prints that often have the best chance of selling. We often get people that are just wanting to get their work out there. They price the prints very affordable. I mean, obviously $20 is a little low between the commission and everything. But those are the prints that people, they don't think twice about purchasing a print. When you get a little print into the 80, 90, over 100, that's when we find people are a little more hesitant to just spend their money. So in terms of trying to get more sales out of it, like I said, around $50 is really kind of one of the best price points. We find a lot of prints in that price point will sell.
25.
Yeah, I mean, we do often have prints that are $200 and up. They're usually very complicated, And they do sometimes sell, but generally it's that lower price point that people gobble up.
Mhm.
So any other questions out there? Anyone having trouble figuring out the area? You definitely had trouble. The circular plates are tricky. This is a plate, obviously it's a little hard to tell. This is a 1x4. This is the 2x2 size. You can see it's basically double, just this is an interesting size. There's sort of like, you can do like a sort of a rectangle. One of the ways I like to do the math on the rectangle is to use the centimeter measurement, which is, I believe, 20. The centimeter measurements are, where is it here? 25.8 square centimeters. So sometimes that math is easy, like 6 times 4 is 24. So 6 centimeters by 4 centimeters, you're under the maximum size. So sometimes that, doing quarters and eighths of an inch get a little complicated. But just switching to the centimeter measurement sometimes makes it a little bit easier to do the math. Let's see, someone's asking a question here. Yes, any paper is fine. If you did it on a very thin Asian paper, mounting it to a larger, heavier sheet of paper would be beneficial for handling. But we've had prints on super thin tissue paper. One year we had prints come in on tea bags. Pretty much any flat substrate, any kind of paper will work. We do our best to handle them very carefully so they don't get creased. As we said, we use photo corners so that they're not, we're not putting tape on them. If you do send us a print that's a bleed print that has no margin, we actually use usually some sort of water-based glue, like a methyl cellulose or a wheat paste, and we will hinge those little prints in order to put them in the frame so you don't see the photo corners. So yeah, we try to present them as most beautifully as possible. Okay, someone wanted me to repeat the centimeter. So in order to figure out the maximum size, you would you'd multiply one dimension by the other dimension to create the square inch size. So the easy math is like a 1x4, 1 inch by 4 inch, 1 times 4 is 4, which is the 4 square centimeters. If you were doing this in centimeters, it would be, I don't know exactly the measurement, I have to get a ruler.
Doesn't say that?
It would be, actually, let me get a ruler for this. That'll make, I got it.
Yeah.
Do the math on that.
It said that though. Hmm.
The biggest one possible.
All right, I'll move out of the
All
way.
right, so it's a small ruler for the mini print. So it measures about 2.5 centimeters by 10 centimeters. So 2.5 times 10 is 25. So that nails the 25.8 square centimeters. Sometimes that math is a little bit easier. But like I said, 25.8. So you can do any tiny little increments and multiply one side by the other as long as it fits within 25.8 centimeters or 4 square inches. Let's see. Someone said, yeah, the prospectus has a lot of information in it. As I said, trying to price them appropriately is good. Making sure you include the entry fee and the return fee for domestic. Trying to think what else. If the prints are too big, the juror will not see the prints if they are too big.
They get declined automatically.
Any print that is the right size, the juror will see, and almost all prints, every medium is possible and the juror will see them, but it is up to the juror what they accept or not. So sometimes jurors will accept certain kinds of prints, like some monotypes, some digital prints, but it's really up to the juror's discretion as to what they accept. Usually there's about 150 prints? Somewhere between 100 and 150 prints get accepted. Trying to think what else. It is worth mentioning, we do have binders that we call the Salon De Refuse, which is every print that gets submitted will be in one of those binders. So everyone has an opportunity to sell their print, even if their print is the wrong size or the juror rejects it. It doesn't go on the wall in our gallery, but it is here and available for sale. Now, if you don't get in the show and you want your prints back and you don't want to be in the Salon De Refuse, they can be returned right away. We do find that we do sell a lot of prints out of the Salon De Refuse. As we all know, everyone has different aesthetics and different thoughts. So just because the juror didn't like it doesn't mean there isn't a dozen people that want to buy it.
You got that one?
Now, let's think. I'm trying to think if I missed anything else important. It is handy if you have multiple, if it's an edition print and you have multiple copies, that you can send those along with the original shipment, or you can wait and find out if you get in the show and then send additional copies. Some artists have easily sold a dozen prints in a mini print year, multiple copies of the same print. It also helps to keep the price point down. Now, someone asked about the student group entry. So hello, down in Baltimore and Micah. So the key for that was, in order to try to make it more accessible, we know that shipping is very expensive these days. So if you are in a school and you can do a group entry, what it does is it means every artist will pay $10 per print they are submitting for any students. Those are all put in a single package, mailed to us, and then we will mail all of those entries back also in a single package. One of the biggest costs in this show is the mailing. If you imagine, 300 packages having to be returned at the end of the show, that's where a lot of our costs come in. It's why our domestic entry is a little bit lower, and we ask for return postage. All of us are covering the international shipments. They have to get the prints to us. We found that there isn't an easy way for paying return shipping for international, which is why their fees are a little bit higher. And that's why that cost is there, so that we can return the shipment, the prints at the end of the show.
So the entry cost for students, 3 or more that are going to submit together for US artists, is $10 per entry. And you can submit up to 3. If they want to submit an additional, then the same rule applies to $10 an additional print. For international artists, students that are going to submit 3 or more, it's $15 per entry.
Yes.
Is this 3 within the edition or 3 separate?
3
original
separate.
prints?
3 separate
Separate piece,
entries. Yeah, if you do an edition, and you submit 3 prints and you send 3 copies of each, they all should be labeled, but you only have to pay the fee for the, what we call the primary impression that's going before the juror. So you could send us, you know, like I said, you could send us 9 prints, but it's only 3 entries, so it's only $30 for the student price. Yeah. Up to 5. Yeah, you can send as many as 5 total prints to be looked at by the juror. They will only see 1 copy though. They're not going to see, you know, if there's an addition of 5 that gets sent, they will only see 1 of those prints. Sometimes you may notate the primary print, that's the one for the exhibition, and then you could include additional copies, similar copies. You know, some artists like to send the edition work all at one time, send all of the prints. Other artists wait until they find out whether they got in the show, and then we'll reach out, and then you could send an additional package with those extra copies for sale.
Okay, so the student provides the $10. Say they have the 3 prints. Then out of the 3 prints, they choose one that is the print that is for the exhibition itself. That you're saying one that is for the juror to view out of the 3?
Are you,
No.
wait, are you saying they sent 3 different prints or 3 of the
3
same?
different prints. 3 different prints.
3 different prints. They can submit 3 different prints for the one price. So it's 3.
Okay, but then they view all of them. I was just asking, do they need to define then out of those 3 which one they want to be seen, or does all 3 do all
All
3 of
3
them
are going to be seen.
are seen?
All
Okay.
3 are going
All
to
right,
be.
yeah. When you said it, I was like, wait, if they have to define
Yeah,
which one?
No,
then- okay.
that's if they include additional
impression.
In
impressions.
addition. All right, as
Yeah.
if it was a. I'm like, well, then it should be the same unless it's a varied edition.
It
or
should
something
be,
like that.
yes.
Yeah, I'm like, it should be the same. What are they picking from? I was like, okay.
Yeah, no, sometimes people
one
will
has a
submit
smudge.
addition variables, you know, with a little different, every print's a little different. You know, sometimes I know with students, they have, you know, an addition of 10 and they're close, but 1 or 2 is like better than the others. You sort of want that one to be the one that's seen by the juror. Yeah,
All right, thank you.
yes.
You're welcome.
Someone was asking about titles. It is important that all of the prints, if they're not titled, there's something notating the difference between the different entries. If they're all untitled, generally we will assign untitled A, B, and C. If you notice on the entry form, kind of hard to see, but there's entry 1, 2, and 3. So if you were to send untitled, you might put some notation so we can discern which is which. It's also important for your own record keeping. Make sure you know what you sent us, because if you get print A in and it's untitled, and print B is rejected and it's also untitled, you'll get a notification, congratulations, entry B untitled was accepted. We would prefer that you know what it is to send us other copies, and we don't have to dig through our files to let you know. So it's sometimes important for your own record keeping to have a sense of what you sent us, so that if we're looking for more copies, someone wants an additional sale, we can say entry B, and you'll know exactly which print it is and which prints look like that. Hopefully that's a good answer for the titles. They do go on the label on the mat. It'll have the artist name, the title, the medium, the price. In an online catalog that we publish, there'll be also all that information, including the size. And I think we may also do an interactive online catalog as well. We usually have about 2 or 3 different abilities to see the exhibition, whether it's online or in person. Let's see. So there's another question about a digital print based on a plate print. So this is a question that we get a lot. in our prospectus, we accept original digital media is the way that we describe it. Now, the way we think about original digital media is that it is something that doesn't exist in another form. It's not a painting you took a picture of, you shrunk down and inkjet printed it. It should be something that only exists in that final printed form. So while you could take a photo or scan an existing artwork, we would expect that there would be manipulation that went into it to make it an original print in that format, not just a shrunk down copy of something else. I always think about a very famous printmaker who started a important atelier in Paris, Stanley William Hayter. And one of the things that he talked about is the greatest prints are the prints that were created as a print, not it was a drawing, then it was a painting, then it was a sculpture, and then I decided to make a print of it. It's something that you created, you came up with an idea, you executed it as the print, and it only exists as the print. That sort of ideology is what I think drives the print world, because what we aren't looking for is reproductions or copies. We're looking for original prints in the traditional sense that it's created as that print. You know, that said, there are a lot of ways to use the computer to develop imagery, to create imagery. A lot of people submit photopolymer intaglio prints or solar plates. Those are practically digital photos run through a system, printed as an acetate, put on the plate like a photogravure. While that isn't original, the process of creating the plate and printing it is in the traditional sense of printmaking. But you know, there is a very fine line these days between what's digital and what's hand-drawn. We like to be inclusive. If it's a print in the traditional sense, we accept it and we include it. So yes, a digitally created artwork can be accepted into the show. Of course, it's up to the juror whether they think it's a real print or not. And that's something that, you know, it's really up to the juror. Talked to people about this many years. Some jurors are like, no, I'm not going to accept that. And other jurors are like, wow, this is a great image. I love it. It's in the show. So it's always going to be up to the juror's discretion what they accept or not. But as we said, everything goes in the Salon De Refuse. So if the juror doesn't like it, it doesn't mean other people won't see it, appreciate it, and hopefully purchase it. So. Let's see, if you have a very large title, yes, it is important that you put something on the back of the print. We do ask that the labels are filled out and attached to the back of the print. I know this is a challenge if you do a bleed print that's say 1 inch by 1 inch. You still will want to tape it, but we will take extra care to make sure that that label is not seen in the presentation on the wall. But it is important, you know, you can imagine Jackie handles 500 prints. And if you don't know who the artist is or the title, it's very challenging to keep track of it.
If you're gonna use tape, use artist tape, not Scotch tape. Or glue.
Or
Please,
glue.
no glue. Sorry,
Yeah.
we've had glue.
Yeah, and be careful if you use a very thin Asian paper, you know, be very thoughtful about where you put the label, because sometimes you can see right through it.
Mhm.
And we've had to heroically remove labels from the back of prints so that it doesn't show in the mat and sort of take away from the artwork. You know, worst case, put it in a little sleeve with the label, something very clear. We can put them together here, or if, as I said, if it's too tiny, just make sure that there's some way we know that it's your print and which label it belongs with, and we can do the rest of it. And as we said, we always handle the prints with as much care as we can. Now, that reminds me, when sending the artwork, please use a stiff, heavy envelope, include some sort of cardboard or something that's stiffening. It is really horrible, both for us and for the artist, if the print comes bent in half, crinkled, creased, folded. It's a horror for us, and then we have to let you know that the prints were damaged. Sometimes they can be flattened, sometimes, I mean, I think we've had prints just thrown in an envelope, and the envelope arrives at us torn in half, and the print is damaged, and there's really nothing we can do with that. We do our best handling it, but we can't vouch for the Postal
The
Service.
carriers, yeah.
All right, any other questions out there? I think we've covered a lot, but I'm sure there's
Yeah.
got to be some other.
And even after this, if you come up with a question, just email either one of us.
Yeah, info@contemptprints.org. We'll get through to us. We'll do our best to reply as quickly as possible. The deadline of the 11th of March is the postmark deadline. So, as long as it's in the mail that day with a postmark, we have enough time for a week or two for the things to get delivered. Even if we got a package the day before the juror comes, we would do our best to try to get it in. So we do our best. Let's see.
Yes, cyanotypes are accepted.
Yes, a cyanotype is okay. I don't remember if it was on our prospectus. But yes, we have accepted cyanotypes before. Risographs are fine. As we said, sort of digital prints are fine as long as they're the correct size and they're not obviously reproductions. Or if it looked like a very, very straightforward photograph, we would probably accept it, but then it's going to be up to the juror whether they believe it's been manipulated or not. I know some people do very interesting photo montages and trompe-l'oeil things in the computer. As we said, as long as it seems appropriate, we will show it to the juror. The main thing that we reject is the size. If it's, if you're talking about a 32nd of an inch larger or a 64th off, we will most likely accept it. It's the dramatic ones, a full 1/4 inch larger. It's surprising what we receive, but Jackie, you want to show? We have we've got a very detailed map done. This is on acetate, so we would overlay that over the print to determine if it's the correct size or not. And that there's always challenges every year. Someone will send us an odd shaped plate. The one thing that is worth mentioning is if you were to take 4 1-inch by 1-inch plates and print them on a single piece of paper, as long as they're touching, that's fine. If you create space between the plates, that will be rendered ineligible because it's the total area of the image. So if you wanted to do something that was multiple little plates with space, you would have to account for the total 2 by 2. So you might have to make those plates 3/4 of an inch by 3/4 of an inch to allow for there to be a 1/4 inch space between the plates, because the overall size is what we're looking for, not that you took a plate, cut it and printed it all over the page. It has to be within that overall size dimension. We don't count signatures. Some people will put chops on their paper or other things, those do not count. It's really just the image area itself that needs to be in that 4 square inches size.
Also, if you're gonna Shane-Collate anything into that image, make sure it does not go over the border, because that will be counted for the area.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I know I've done it if your paper is sort of, say, a decorative paper, and the paper is like, say, a 5x6 and it's got a decoration all over it, but there's a very small printed area, that might be rejected because the juror might determine the outside area can't be separated from the image area. So you do want to be a little bit thoughtful to not submit something that is bending the rules too much. The idea is really that it's these very small image areas that are what we're really looking for.
Your Mylar overlay might be a good photocopy addition to your resources to people to be able to print out, since you said that they have so much trouble over the years. Maybe you put a white paper behind it, put it in the photocopier, and just put it as a PDF on your
Yeah, that's a
Like-
good idea, as long as people print it out the correct size.
well, you could just have the measurement there, so they know if they pull out their ruler and it doesn't match that measurement, that they printed it at the wrong size.
Yeah, for years we put these little rectangles on the prospectus that are at scale. But I think that the hardest part is, and we tried on this prospectus, when we talk about 4 square inches, people think 4 by 4. We tried in this prospectus to eliminate those words, those numbers. But I know one year we even talked about trying to find a mathematician to talk about how to determine the area of a shape. Because, circles
I
are
think
very
it's
complicated.
it's
Circles are the
something to
complicated one.
yeah, it's like it's something to say
Ovals.
about the American math programs here.
It's true. Although we've had international entries the wrong size as well, so.
Yeah.
But we actually, the funny story, we had an artist whose husband is a math person, and they worked really hard to figure out a circular plate area. And I see someone put that in there, pi r squared, correct.
Yep.
They had it wrong though, and the plate was too big, and they realized that they had done the diameter, not the radius. And so they thought they had it right, but it was too big. So a circular plate, triangles, odd rhombuses, it's a little bit tricky, but you can ask your favorite 4th or 5th grader or someone who's doing geometry to help with the math.
Yeah.
And as we said, if there's any questions, feel free to pop us an email, give us a call. You could always send us a little picture. Does this look right? But as we said, I mean, I think I've even bought out of the Salon De Refuse a 4-inch by 4-inch print because it was a really good value. So, I wouldn't suggest sending those just for the chance, but we're very nice in that there's an opportunity for every print to be seen by the public, not just the juror. So.
Yeah. Anything else? we
Yeah,
missed?
is there anything we missed? Any other questions or clarifications needed?
That one. Yeah,
Let's see. Yes, the background paper can be any color as long as it's not a patterned or printed that it becomes an integral part of the image. Someone asked if it could be mounted on black paper or white. Absolutely. If you print on a 8x10 piece of black paper with a small image, that's fine. As long as it doesn't seem as though the outer paper is part of the image. It was actually just thinking, we had a beautiful print last mini print. I don't know if you can really see, it was an oval plate and it had a string stitched into the paper that kind of rose above it. So it almost looked like an ornament. And that was fine. Even though it was slightly larger, the amount of string, and it was an oval plate, there was room to sort of play with the total image area. So you can get a little bit clever, but Jackie does not appreciate if they're crazy shapes all over, and it's very hard to determine the math. You know, I did it to her one year, and you know, it
It
happens.
becomes challenging.
Yeah. But yeah, if you cut a plate up and then recombine it, that's fine.
Mhm.
You just can't have space between those recombined shapes. That would be part of the image area and cause a rejection.
Yeah.
So I know Jackie's been doing this for, what is this?
Since I started 2001.
So yeah, so 10 or 12 versions of this. We've seen a lot of
Yes.
different prints and possibilities.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a fun competition though.
Yes. Trying to think anything else. As I mentioned, at the moment, we do not have another venue for the show, but we have a local organization that often takes it. We'll be reaching out to them, see if they want the show to travel. It often is around the holidays that they like it. We will inform everyone about that. I can also announce it. We haven't done all the formal announcements. We have at least 8 purchase awards secured from vendors all around, including paper vendors, printmaking materials. Some of them, we have, my favorite is the Open Press Project. We'll be donating a little miniature press as a purchase award, so someone could get a miniature press. That's always fun. There are purchase awards, meaning that the company that does the sponsorship will actually get the print. So some of these purchase awards, you may be able to say you're in the collection of Speedball or Awagami paper. Awagami is doing a really wonderful prize where you'll get $300 worth of their paper to the one print selected. So there's always a chance of getting some good stuff. And there's also a good chance you could sell prints and get money. So there's lots of possibilities.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Oh, look at the mini print, the mini press. Oh, it's
there
so
you
cute.
go. That's
Oh,
so
nice.
Yeah, and the one that they give is the fully functional one that comes with the blankets and everything. So you'd be lucky to win that. Yeah.
This is the new half-size press. It's half as big as the bigger one.
Oh, that's the half one. I looked small.
Yeah, I don't
Oh
know.
my God, that's so
It
cute.
is so
Apple.
tiny. It is
So
adorable.
it's
And I think
definitely fidgety to use. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, and I think the newest one that they're putting out has the extra long bed. So there's an extra
That's
long
the
bed on the
big,
new
huge
one.
one. Yeah, but this came with a little bed, and I'd like them to have a bigger one.
Oh, it's adorable.
Yes, it is. It's good for a
And I've-
doll.
And I've seen people take the plan and they've actually gone and doubled the size of it. So there's all kinds of that. It's such a great thing that those guys did starting the Open Press Project.
Yeah, they're having shows all over the world. They got, they ended up with thousands of prints that they had to curate.
I know. And their mission of making printmaking more accessible is so wonderful that, they have that scholarship program. They really, we've talked with them because since they've started doing shows, it really fits our whole mini print exhibition idea that anyone can make a little mini plate. If it's a little linoleum and you hand print it, or a little piece of styrofoam. There's so many possibilities these days with printing. And the size makes it super easy to print, ship, and get on people's walls.
Mhm.
This is
I
the
took-
original.
Oh, you
And
have yours?
What is the press
Yeah,
again?
mine's smaller than yours.
Yeah, and I were about 5 inches. This is the extended bed.
Mhm.
So it's 9 inches long. So I don't think people can see because Janet's not muted, so it's interfering with me. But anyway, so I went on their Facebook page because they posted about the competition. And then somebody said, but 4x4 is so huge. And I had to explain 4 square inches.
Thank you.
Yes,
Duh.
thank you.
So, yeah, so this was printed for me, but
Oh, nice.
yeah.
I know we've struggled, like I said, for years saying 4 square inches and people latch on to 4. It should really, we used to say 2 inch by 2 inch plates, but then, you know, you can do odd sized and smaller. I think we've had teeny tiny plates. Actually, Jackie has one here. I don't even
I
know
don't
if you
even
can see it. I think it's like
I
3/4
can
of
even
an
hold it up,
inch by
yeah.
half an inch.
Yeah, it's too.
It's very tiny.
Oh, well,
You compare that to the 2x2. They're very cute though.
Filing the sides of that little plate, your little.
Oh yes, challenging
Challenging.
for sure.
Inking it was, wiping it was challenging.
So someone asked, so this International Miniature Print Exhibition originally started at the Pratt Graphics Center in Manhattan. In the, I think it was in the late 70s, early 80s. And when that exhibition ended, one of the people involved at the Pratt Graphics Center was involved with CCP when it was founded. And they had always done that 4-inch mini size. And we've learned that there are a lot more miniature print exhibitions out there that are considerably larger, but we sort of started with this size and have stuck to it. It was really, the idea of it was really to work in this tiny miniature way. You know, there's a lot of history of ex libris prints that go inside a book plate. You know, there's a couple of very well-known examples of mini prints from back in history. Whistler had done some. So I think it was really the idea of to challenge artists to work small. I think there's one mini print and it's like a 6x8, and 6x8 doesn't seem miniature, it seems small. And that's why we're the miniature print exhibition. I think that's maybe the key, as opposed to a small print exhibition. So let's see. Oh yeah, look at that. Yeah, there's lots of clever ways to figure out how to work at this size. A Tetra plate is a great example of a material to use because it's very easy to cut smaller. I know cutting copper is a challenge. As someone mentioned, beveling it is tricky. You know, some of the thinner roofing copper works well. We've had other people, like on a lithostone, you mask out a couple of very small areas, work on the larger stone, and you could print 4 prints at a time, cut them down and submit them individually. You know, you sort of have to kind of think of creative ways to make it work at this size, because it, for those of you that have already started and made prints, I'm sure you know it's not as easy as you think. Definitely takes some time.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Yeah, I don't know. Are there any other questions out there or comments? Is there anything else, Jackie, you can think of?
No.
All right, well, if there's no other questions, maybe we'll keep the meeting open for another few minutes in case someone comes up with something. But good luck with your
Yeah.
plate making. And we are very excited and looking forward to seeing all of your entries.
Yep,
Good.
I get the
Nice.
fun job of measuring everything. I get the
And you see
preview before
everything.
yes, I get the preview before everybody else.
That's right.
Yes.
Was that may the squared be with you?
Yes.
Oh, and happy Valentine's Day.
Oh, yeah, we forgot about that.